In this video, I want to talk to all of the first-time home sellers to help you understand what it's like to sell your home for the first time. So we spent a lot of time talking to first-time home buyers about the home buying process, but oftentimes we neglect to speak to first-time home sellers, and that can be an overwhelming process if you've never done it before. So let's talk about 6 home selling tips for first-time home sellers. So the first thing is to research the market. Now, my hope is that you'll contact me as your realtor who knows the market well, and also that you're following me on YouTube so you have an idea of what the market is. But understand the real estate market. And understand too that you can't read national news about the real estate market and understand what's happening in your community, in your city, your town, and even your neighborhood or zip code. You have to look at what's happening locally. Just within Polk County, we have zip codes that are in buyer's markets and other zip codes that are still in a seller's market. That's important because if you're looking to sell your home, ideally you're going to sell it when you're in a seller's market, not when you're in a buyer's market. Now, sometimes you don't have a choice, right? You've got a job transfer, you've completely outgrown the home, whatever. Life happens and you have to sell and you can't necessarily time the market. But it's important to understand the market so that you know how to handle pricing. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So understand the real estate market and understand what it is locally. The second tip is to consider hiring a real estate agent. Now, during the pandemic, when homes were flying off the shelves and you could put a home on the MLS or Zillow, and within a couple days it was under contract, those days are gone. We're not in that kind of market. A lot of realtors during that time didn't even market a home, which I think was a disservice to their clients because they didn't necessarily get the best offer for their clients. I think it's important that you hire a realtor anyway because that's your marketing expert. Unless you're a marketing expert yourself, I do think it's important to hire a real estate agent. The research shows that for sellers that work with a realtor to sell their home, on average make 15% more for their home. Now, even if you end up paying your realtor 5%, 6%, 7%, if you make 15% more, that's well worth your return on investment. Definitely look to hiring a real estate agent, and I really think it's important to hire someone that's affiliated with the National Association of Realtors, that's agreed to a code of ethics, and that's what realtors do. So looking at a realtor who also receives more training and someone that knows your market. If your realtor or the person that you're interviewing to sell your home can't answer questions about what's happening in the local real estate market, then that's probably not the realtor for you. I don't care that your sister Sarah or that your uncle Henry is a realtor. If they don't understand the market, then that's not going to benefit you when it comes time to selling your home, and it's just going to create frustration and maybe some difficult family dynamics. The other thing that you should look for in a realtor is someone that actually has sold a lot of homes. Sometimes we think experience in real estate equals years in the business, but I know some realtors that have been in the business 30 years that have sold 30 homes. If you sell one home a year, that's not experience. I've sold over 200 homes in 8 years. So I actually would have more experience than that realtor that's been in the business for 30 years, because you gain experience in real estate by closing transactions. The more people you help, the more experience you get, the better you are at handling all the weird and challenging things that can come up during a real estate transaction. So look for a realtor that has a lot of experience, i.e. a lot of closed transactions, not necessarily years in the business. The third thing, and in this market where we are for many of us in Polk County in a buyer's market, is to price your home competitively. During the pandemic, you could kind of name your price and you'd likely get it, and maybe even then some, but that's not the market we're in. For many of us, we're in a buyer's market, which means there are fewer buyers for more homes, which means they have options. So if you're priced on the higher end of market value, your home is going to sit. If you're above market value, your home is going to sit. You need to be on the lower end right now to attract more buyers to come and see your home. You need to make sure your home is well maintained. If there are things that show signs of wear in your home, take care of those things, because buyers want a home that's going to be move-in ready, most of them. Other than investors don't care how ugly your house is. You've all seen those "We Buy Ugly Houses" signs all over town. They don't care what the home looks like, and they're not going to do a home inspection, or if they do one, it's more for their purposes to understand how much they're going to have to put into the home, but also understand an investor isn't going to offer you what someone who's going to move into the home is going to offer you. So if you want to appeal to investor offers, just understand they can come in $40, $50, $60, $100, $150,000 under what your home is probably worth if it were well maintained. But again, you need to have a realtor that understands that, and then again, you have to price your home according to its condition compared to the other homes on the market. You want your home to be the nicest, honestly, and one of the cheaper homes in your community that's on the market. That's how you're going to get it sold more quickly. If you can afford to be patient, then you can take a different strategy. But a lot of times we can't afford to be patient. There's deadlines and timelines we need. Maybe it's a new job, whatever. And so you got to be more aggressive in your pricing if that's the case. The next tip I have for you is to stage your home. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean professional staging. Many of you keep your homes very nice and are ready, but you want to consider decluttering, you want fresh paint, deep cleaning, arrange furniture in a way that makes the house seem even more spacious maybe than it actually is. You want to create a natural and inviting atmosphere. You want to take a lot of your personal things out of the home, so personal pictures, things like that. You don't necessarily want to have those out because you don't need the family that's coming to view your home to see your family in the home. You want them to see their family in the home. I'm happy to provide guidance on this as well. I do have some things that I can bring into a home for adding pops of color or things like that. But you want to think model home. So if you're not sure, maybe it's been a long time since you've been in a new build, go into a model home. You don't have to kind of necessarily reach that level, but in terms of the level of decluttering, that's what you're going for. The next tip I can give you is to be flexible with showings. The more available your home is to show, the more likely we are to be able to get people in the door. And the only way to sell it really is to get people in the door. So try not to limit time frames, try to be flexible. Even sometimes inconvenient last minute showing requests will come in from time to time. The more that you can accommodate that stuff, the more your home is available to show, the more likely it will be to sell quickly. And then finally, don't neglect curb appeal. While it's a little bit different impact than it was years ago before people looked online at the homes, curb appeal is still important. It's important if you can have curb appeal for the pictures, because that's going to maybe get more people to choose to come through the door, want to see your home. But when they pull up, you want a nice, warm, welcoming feel. You want pops of color with flowers, fresh bark mulch, well-trimmed lawn, hedges, etc. The more that you can make your home pop from the outside, the better for you, and the more likely you are to get a good offer on your home. Anyway, if you're a first-time home seller, I hope these tips are helpful. If you are considering selling your home and you just want someone to walk you through the process a little bit, please reach out to me, 863-280-2201. Also, in the comments, if you want, go ahead and request my seller's guide. I'd be happy to send that to you. As always, remember, you can't miss with Chris. Have a great day, everybody.